roll. I can find the songbook. Oh, righty. Okay, we are still, or I am still, always use the royal we, but we are still in Sacramento, California. And if you don't know where Sacramento, California is, you're in trouble. So, and tomorrow we'll be heading back to North Carolina, and let's see if we'll be back in time for class in the evening. Might miss class. Let me see. Give me a second. Sacramento to RDU. Possibly we'll miss class. My plane arrives back. Yeah, I would say we probably miss class. Plane arrives back at 4:04 p.m. And by the time I get my bags and get out of the airport, yeah. Let's see. Maybe I'll be bold enough to do it from the car. I don't know. It doesn't usually work like that. Okay. Maybe different key. Namo Namo Tulasi Krishna Prayasi Namo Radha Krishna Seva Bhava Hey Avilasi Radha Krishna Seva Bhava Hey Avilasi Hey Tumarashala Taravanshapuna Kripakari Karatare Vrindavanavasi Ye Tomara Sharanai Naravanshapuna Kripakari Karatare Vrindavanavasi Milas Kunjali Valas Nayaneri Shanti, Radhakrishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Tulsi Devi, Tulsi Devi, Tulsi Devi, Tulsi Devi, Jaya Tulsi Devi, Tulsi Devi, Jaya Tulsi Devi, Jaya Tulsi Devi, Tulsi Devi, Prabhupada, Prabhupada. So, Jai Om Vishnupad, Paramahansa Paramikacharya, also Teta Satashi Shiman, His Divine Grace Savaya, Chalanada Bhaktivedanta Goswami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, ISKCON Founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananda Koti, Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Vedas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Paramunicinanda Shidway to Gadadha Shiva Siddhi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radhakrishna Gopi Gopinath Shaima Kunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavanam Ki Jai, Maturidam Ki Jai, Jagadadha Swami Ki Jai, Yamuna Mai Ki Jai, Shrimati Lasi Devi Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories the assembled devotees. All glories the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Namah Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale, Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pachani Nivashesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Jayashatarni. So let us read the translation. O Tulsi, beloved of Krishna, I bow before you again and again. My desire is to obtain the service of Shri Shri Radha Krishna. Whoever takes shelter of you has their wishes fulfilled. Bestowing your mercy, you make them a resident of Shri Vrindavana. My desire is that you will always also grant me. Oh, increase the volume. Someone actually said increase the volume. This is someone who has problems with their hearing, so we have to increase the volume for them. Okay. All right. My desire is that you will also grant me a residence in pleasure groves of Sri Vrindavanam. Thus, within my vision, I will always behold the beautiful pastimes of Radha and Krishna. I beg you to make me a follower of the coward damsels of Braja. Please give me the privilege of devotional service and make me your own maid servant. This very fallen and lowly servant of Krishna prays might always swim in the love of Sri Radha and Govinda. Okay, so we're going to continue with our study of the Jaiva Dharma by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So, Om Gana Timiranda Shah Garanjana Shalakya Chakshur Un Meditam Yena Tasmai Shigurve Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances under the lotus feet of my spiritual master, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who so kindly opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge while I was blinded in the darkness of ignorance. Okay, gang. Actually, let me put another light on here. That's better. Better to see you. Not better to see you. Better you can see me. So, let's share the screen. And here we go. Gauranga. Okay. So we heard yesterday about all the ingredients of Shantaras. That means the bhavas and everything else. And the rati. Okay. So now we're going to hear about Shantaras means like passive adoration. Now we're going to hear about the ingredients of dasharas, which means servitude. Goswami said the learned called dasharas as priti bhakti ras, loving bhakti taste. There are two types. When the recipient of mercy acts as a servant, dasha, it is called sambrahma priti. And when the recipient identifies himself as the object of paternal affection of Krishna, which is called lalya, it is called gaurava priti. So, okay, let me tell you the difference. One is you're a servant of Krishna, and the other one's you're Krishna's kid. Yeah. Or Krishna is very parental, that he's much older than you and he feels parental affection, like that. So, Rajanath said, what is sambrahma priti? Goswami said, affection, priti, with respect for Krishna, son of Nanda, found in the residents of Braj, who regard themselves as servants when nourished, is called sambrahma priti. The alambanas, alambana means the stimulation for ecstasy or emotions, and that one type of stimulation means directly Krishna. So in certain cases, it's Krishna's servant. Oh, that's interesting. The alambanas are Krishna, who is the Vishaya, and his servant Ashraya. So in other words, you can also become stimulated in your emotion by seeing Krishna's servants, if you're in the dasha rati or dasha ras. Rajana said, what is the swarup? What does Krishna look like in this ras? Remember the last one, the Shanta, generally they saw Krishna with 4 arms. So in Gokula, Krishna has 2 arms in sambrahma priti. Elsewhere, sometimes he has 2 arms and sometimes 4 arms. In other words, when you leave Gokula, you go to Mathura, you go to Dwarka, you go to Vaikuntha, etc. In Gokula, with 2 arms, he plays a flute and wears a peacock feather while dressed as a coward. So that's the stimulation, which is called a vibhava, but this particular type of vibhava is called nalambana, which means directly Krishna. Elsewhere, even if he has 2 arms, he wears a royal dress decorated with gems. He's the king. Rupa Goswami says, long verse, Brahmanda Koti Namaika Ramakupa Kripam Buddhi Avachinja Mahashakti Sarvasiddhi Nishevata Avataravali Bijam Sadama Sadatma Ramarid Una Ishvara Paramadya Paramaradya Sarvadya Sudradavata Samridimam Kshamakshila Sharanagata Palaka Dakshina Satyavachano Dakshasarva Shubhankara Vatapi Dharmika Shastra Jakshur Vakta Suritama Vadanya Stejasa Yukta Pritanya Kirti Sangshya Vadiyan Balapon Prema Vasya Itya Dipir Gunai Yutas Chatur Vedeshvesha Dashesh Valambano Hari. So, the Lord in whose hair holes reside billions of universes, that's incredible, is an ocean of mercy. He is endowed with inconceivable powers and all perfections. He is the seed of all avatars. That means Krishna's expansions, which descend and come to this material world, is always attractive to the Atmaramas, those who are self-satisfied, and is the supreme controller. He is most deserving of respect. He is omniscient, fixed in his vows, always increasing, and full of tolerance. He is the protector of those who surrender to him, compliant, truthful, expert, all auspicious, the afflictor of the evil, and upholder of dharma, which means religious principles. He is the eye of scripture, the friend of the devotee, magnanimous, fulgent, full of gratitude, full of good qualities, the chief among all beings, and is controlled by prema. His form is the alambana for 4 types of servants. That's from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 3:2:11-15. And Brajanath asks, what are the 4 types of servants? Goswami says the servants, dasas, are well behaved, always ready to follow the order of the Lord. They have full faith in him and have a sense of humility by recognizing that he is their master. The 4 types of dasas, in other words, these are the qualities of all the servants. The 4 types of dasas, ashrayas, that means those who have the love, are the adhikrita, ashrita, parishada, and anuga. So now we're going to hear about the 4 types of servants of Krishna. Don't worry, you don't have to remember all these terminology. Who are the adhikrita dasas? Goswami said Brahma, Shiva, Indra, and other devatas and devis. Devis means the heavenly society girls, or those who are married to the devas, serve the Lord by managing the universe. And also devas are the female demigods who manage other aspects of the universe, like Lakshmi. Well, Lakshmi is married to Lord Vishnu, but there's another Lakshmi married to Lord Brahma. So anyway. So Brajanath said, who are the Ashrita dasas? And Goswami said there are 3 types of Ashritas. Those who have surrendered to the Lord as their protector. Saranya means surrendered. Those who were previously Gyanis. Gyani Chara, that means they're moving as Gyanis, or moving as knowledge. But later understood the superiority of the form and quality of the Lord. And those who were fixed in service. Seva Nishta, fixed, that means fixed in service, appreciating the Lord's sweetness. Kali and the kings kept in prison by Jarasandha are example of Saranyas. The sages headed by Shonaka, who gave up their desire for liberation and surrendered to the Lord, are counted as Gyana, Yani Charas. Those who from the very beginning are attached to serving the Lord are called the Seva Nishta, fixed in service. Examples are Chandra Dwaja, Indra, Bahurashva, Ikshvaku, Shutadev, and Pundarika. It's interesting. Wasn't Indra listed in the last one? Yeah. Might be a different Indra. Anyway. So, so many categories and subcategories. Brajana said, who are the Parishadas? Goswami said, Uddhava, Daruka, Satyaki, Shutadev, Shatradru, Nanda, Upananda, Bhadra, and others are known. Of course, this is, would that be, probably not Nanda Maharaj, because he's actually in the, he's serving Krishna, he's also parental affection, etc., are known as the Parishadas, members of the assembly or followers, though they also serve as advisors, charioteers, and other functionaries. At other times, they acted as retinue. In the same way, among the Kuru dynasty, these may be other people who are outside of Vrindavan. Parikshit, Bhishma, Vidura, etc., are known as Parishadas. Among these Parishadas, Uddhava, controlled by Prema, is the best. So, of course, these, like Bhishma, Parikshit, Vidura, they're all outside of Vrindavan. Brajnath said, who are the Anuga Bhaktas? Goswami said, those whose hearts are at all times attached to attending the Lord, upon the Lord, are called Anuga Bhaktas, attendants. There are two types, those in Dwarka and those in Braja. Suchandra, Mandana, Stamba, Sutamba are some of the Anugas in Dwarka. Araktaka. So we become purified. The point is, why are we hearing all this description? Are we going to remember it? Is it going to affect our daily devotional service? Probably not. But hearing the names of these great devotees and their position and relationship with Krishna will actually inspire us in devotional service. It's like chanting the holy name. Of course, not exactly the same thing, but chanting the names of devotees is very potent and very powerful. Raktaka Patraka Patri Manukanta Manubrata Rasala Suvas Vilasa Premakanda Marandaka Ananda Chandrahasa Payora Bakula Rasala Sharada are some of the Anugas in Braja. Among the Anugas in Braja, Raktaka is the chief. Wow. Okay. Wow. There are three types of Parishadas and Anugas, Durya, Dhira, and Vira. Among the Ashritas, okay, let's hear the description. Oh, sometimes it's mentioned that Chandravaka, Chandravraja means Lord Shiva Mahadev. So, among these Ashritas, Parishadas, and Anugas, there are Nitya Siddhas, eternally liberated, Sadhana Siddhas. Sadhana Siddhas, servants, among the servants, there are eternally liberated devotees, Sadhana Siddhas, those who became perfect by practice, and sadhakas, those who are practicing. Phew. I guess really complicated. I definitely don't remember all this terminology, but it's blissful. You can appreciate, the main thing is we can actually appreciate the wonderful descriptions of the acharyas and the realizations and understandings of the acharyas. I don't pretend to remember all these things. Brajanath said, what are the udipanas of Dasharas? In other words, what are the stimulations that are not directly Krishna or Krishna's devotee that stimulate one to be a servant or in the service mood or service taste? Goswami said the sound of his flute and horn, his glance with a slight smile, hearing the excellence of his qualities, the lotus, the marks on his feet, new clouds, because new clouds are the same color as Krishna, and the fragrance of his body are considered the regular udipanas. In other words, things that remind you of Krishna, that stimulate your emotion. Both udipanas and alambanas are vibhavas. Vibhavas means the stimulants of emotions. Brajanath said, what are the anubhavas of this rasa? In other words, how do people who are in this rasa express voluntarily their ecstasy or emotion? So Goswami said, being completely involved in serving according to one's capacity, carrying out the Lord's orders, friendship with the Lord's servants, and the absence of even a trace of envy on seeing the excellence of other service and being fixed in their love are the special anubhavas of the dasas. So, this is how they express themselves. The ordinary anubhavas of the dasas are all the ubhashvaras mentioned previously, symptoms of ecstasy like dancing, etc., as well as respect for the friends of Krishna and detachment, etc. So, what are the sattvic bhavas of the three types of priti ras, of the three types of servitude? Why sattvic bhavas are the bhavas, again, that come from one's life airs, prana, that's in touch with the transcendental mode of goodness. All the sattvic bhavas, such as being stunned, manifest in this rasa. Wow. What are, Vaishnav said, what are the vyabhacharya bhavas of this rasa? Vyabhacharya, again, are the intermittent ecstasies that occur without any notice and they're uncontrollable. So, in other words, even the servants are experiencing great ecstasy when they get stimulated by seeing Krishna's devotees, or seeing things related to Krishna, like Krishna's flute song, a peacock feather, etc. Goswami said 24 Vyabhachari bhavas appear in this Priti Ras, in other words, the servitude relationship. Harsha, happiness. Garva, Driti, determination. Nirveda, Vishada, Dainyam, Chinta. I wish I had translations here. Smriti, remembrance. Shanka, Mati, Otsukya, Chapalata, Vitarka, argumentation. Avega, Ri, Jajyam. Someone has to call me in the middle of class. Kroda, Asha. Well, sorry, we got last here. Okay. So, Jajya Moha, Unmada, Avahita, Moda, Swapna, Klama, Gladi, Vyadi, and Riti. The other 9, Mada, Shrama, Thrasa, Apasmara, Alasha, Ugrata, Kroda, anger, Asuya, and Nidra, sleep, do not appear. In meeting the Lord, Harsha, Garva, and Driti manifest. I wish I knew the translation of each of these terms. And in separation from the Lord, Klama, Glani, Vyadi, and Riti manifest. The remaining 18 Vyabhachari bhavas manifest both in union with and separation from the Lord. Okay. So, maybe later we should look up all these terms. Prajna said, I desire to know the sthai bhava, that means one's foundational emotion of priti ras, of the servitude relationship. Goswami said, eagerness to execute service with respect and trembling with eagerness because of knowledge of the Lord's greatness is the quality of Sambrahma. 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 Priti, love, or, yes, combined with this Sambrahma is called Sambrahma Priti. So in other words, the sthai bhava is the eagerness to render service because of the knowledge of the Lord's greatness. Okay, it's really interesting. Sthai means the foundational emotion. In Shantaras, the only rati is the sthai bhava. In Dasharas, the only love or relationship is the foundational emotion. In Dasharas, in servitude relationship, and the love is endowed also with possessiveness. This is the sthai bhava. In other words, the sthai bhava is the feeling of I'm a servant and also possessiveness. Krishna is my master, or I belong to Krishna also. Sambrahma Priti, that is the love as a servant of Krishna, gradually increases in 3 stages to prema, love, sneha, which is further enhanced, and finally rag, extreme attachment. When Sambrahma Priti, which means the servitude relationship, becomes fully fixed with no doubt that it will decrease, it is called prema. So these are the stages. These are 3 stages to prema. Sneha, raga, and prema. When prema becomes extreme, 3 stages of prema, sorry. When prema becomes extremely thick and the heart melts, it is called sneha. That's good. In this state, one cannot tolerate even a moment's separation from the Lord. That sneha, which turns sorrow into happiness by a slight appearance of Krishna, is called raga. In this state of raga, it's just like intense attachment. The devotee will do anything for the pleasure of Krishna, even giving up his own life. Wow. So even the servants of Krishna, they're on that platform of ready to give up their own life, remaining loyal to Krishna, just like the gopis. This Sambrama Priti, the love which is manifest in servitude, manifests as prema, the highest stage, in the Adi Kritas and Ashritas. In the Parishadas, it manifests as Sneha, higher platform. So, in other words, like with the servants outside of Vrindavan, particularly the demigods, etc., it can manifest as love, but in the Parishadas, it manifests as Sneha, more intense love. In Parikshit, the Ruka, Uddhava Parishadas, it manifests as the Rag, intense attachment. Rag also manifests in the Anugas. That's the highest one. The ones in, particularly the ones in Mathura and Braj. When Rag, intense attachment, appears in many Anugas followers, in Braj, such as Rataka, who's the chief, remember that before, the Dasha Bhava becomes mixed, which is really interesting, with Sakya. Sakya means friendship. So when a servant of Krishna attains the highest stage of love, then that highest stage begins to manifest a friendship relationship with Krishna. You know, sometimes you see that someone who's serving, and ultimately, by a lot of association, they actually become like in a friendly relationship. The wise say that this servitude relationship, priti rasa, or the taste of the servitude relationship, has a yoga separation and yoga meeting. In other words, they also experience the mood of separation. There are two types of ayoga. Putting the A in front of something means to negate the word. So if you have ayoga, means the disconnection. Okay, like yoga means to connect, which in English becomes yoke, and also in Sanskrit, also yuj, yukta, etc. So utkantitam means longing before ever meeting the Lord. That's a type of separation. And viyoga means separation after meeting. So these are important. These are important terms. Ayoga and viyoga. And these terms probably you should remember. That the servants and others too. This ayoga and viyoga are aspects of love are experienced not only by the servants, but actually also by the friends of Krishna, the parents of Krishna, and the lovers of Krishna. There are three types of yoga. Oh my God, it gets really intense. Siddhi, perfection; tushti, satisfaction; and sthiti, being fixed. Attaining the Lord after meeting a state of great longing and not having met him before is called siddhi, which means perfection, attaining one's desires. Meeting Krishna after separation from him is called tushti. That means satisfaction. Living together with Krishna permanently is called sthiti, being situated. Brahma said, if I understood sambrama priti, please, this is only one type of servitude that's being described so far. Oh my God. Please explain it so detailed. I mean, only someone like Rupa Goswami and, of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and these great personalities can understand and remember all these things. Please explain Kaurava Priti. Goswami said, affection for Krishna by those who identify themselves as the objects of the indulgence are, in other words, they see Krishna more or less as a parent, and they see like him in more or less like being his children or being under him and he being their protector. This is called Voramai. When this affection is nourished by elements starting with vibhava, vibhava means the stimulation for ecstasy, it is called Gaurava Priti Ras. oh my God, we are still in servitude. The alambanas, that means the stimulations which are directly Krishna, of this ras are the Lord, the Vishaya, and the sons or younger brothers and sisters, Ashraya. So Ashraya means the repositories of love. Vishaya means the focus of love, which in this case is Krishna. Under his affectionate care, Krishna is the Vishaya, also means the enjoyer, endowed with qualities of being a great father, having great fame, great intelligence, great strength, being a protector and caresser of his children. Wow. So the relationship where Krishna is the father. Far out. Those who think that they are the younger brothers or sisters, or that they are his sons, are the ashrayas of this ras. In other words, those who, what? Have a subservient position to Krishna, yes, but are like seeing Krishna as their protector, either younger brothers, younger sisters, or the children of Krishna are the ashrayas of this ras. Among them are Sharanagara Subhadra, not the Subhadra who is the, actually she is the sister, sorry. That would be the sister. Subhadra, etc. are younger brothers and sisters. And Pradyumna, Charudeshna, Samba, etc. are his sons. Yeah, because Nanda Maharaj had other children, and also Upananda, the brother of Nanda Maharaj. And, so Krishna has younger cousins, younger brothers, all sorts of nice things like that. So these are the stimulations. The Udipanas, which are related with Krishna, but not seeing Krishna directly, for this Gaura Priti Bhaktas. That means people in the servitude relationship, but who have this relationship. I know I'm reiterating or repeating myself, but those in the servitude relationship who have the attitude that Krishna is like their parent or older brother or something like that, they are stimulated by things such as the Lord's affection and slight smiles, seating on a seat lower than Krishna's, following after Krishna, following his order, and giving up their wishes are the anubhavas. Those are the direct expressions of love, voluntary expressions of love, okay? The sattvika bhavas, try to bear with me, the sattvika bhavas, that means the bhavas that come from being connected with the transcendental mode of goodness, the emotions, there's 8 of them, but not all of them will be expressed here. And the Vyabhichari bhavas described for those with some Brahma Priti manifest with Gaurava Priti. In other words, they have the same ones as the other branch of the servitude relationship. Prajna says, what does Gaurava mean? Goswami said, thinking that Krishna is one's father or elder in relationship to the body is called Gaurava. That Priti manifest toward the caretaker is called Gaurava Priti, that love. This is the sthai bhava of this ras. This is the constitutional, foundational principle of this particular ras of servitude. That Krishna is one's father or elder in relationship. Anyway, I'm going to have to reiterate. In relationship to one. Okay, so just to go over this again, just a basic explanation. Here we find descriptions in this particular section I've just read of different types of servants of Krishna. Servants of Krishna, this is a summary, and not with all the terminology. Servants of Krishna are within Vrindavan, outside of Vrindavan, in the Vaikuntha planets, etc., like that. And these servants of Krishna are divided by the acharyas into 2 categories, Sambrahma Priti and Gaurava Priti. One is where one identifies as a servant, And the other one is where one identifies as a servant in the mood of being Krishna's son or cousin or somehow or other a brother, younger brother of Krishna. It's a subservient position. Okay. So these are the two types of servants. And what we just heard are the vibhavas of those types of servants being described, both types of servants being described. Vibhavas means the types of stimulation that stimulate people with that particular relationship with Krishna. And both the alambana and udipanas. Alambana means those things directly with Krishna or Krishna's devotee to stimulate our emotion, or a person's emotion. And then udipana means things related but are not directly Krishna or Krishna's devotees, okay, that stimulate. And we also heard, in addition to that, the anubhavas, the voluntary expressions of emotions of those in those relationships. And then also we heard the sattvika bhavas, the constitutional ecstasies, or emotions, sorry, that people feel in that, who are in that relationship, because they're connected with the transcendental mode of goodness. And then we also heard about the vyabhachari bhavas, which means the uncontrolled intermittent ecstasies which occur for those in those particular in that particular relationship of servitude. And then we heard about the sthai bhavas, the emotions, the foundational emotions that one feels with both of these types of servitude relationship with Krishna. I hope that is clear, but you may not remember all the details. And then we also heard about ayoga and viyoga. Ayoga means the mood of separation before you meet Krishna, and viyoga means the mood of separation after you've met Krishna. Okay? Phew. Okay, we got that out of the way. So it's really complicated stuff, and it's just have to remember the essence that each and every one of these different relationships with Krishna, beginning with the Shanta Rati, that means the passive adoration of Krishna, and continuing with the Dasha Rati, which is the servitude relationship with Krishna, and further continuing with the Sakya Rati, which is the friendship relationship with Krishna, and further continuing with the Vatsalya Rati, which is the parental relationship with Krishna, and further continuing with the conjugal relationship, the Madhurya Rati. All these different types of relationships have subdivisions and subdivisions of the subdivisions of different types of persons expressing these ratis or relationships. And not only that, they have different things that stimulate each other. I'm putting it all in English right now. It's different things that stimulate each other, different ways of relating to the stimulation, voluntary ways, different feelings that are there within their bodies and minds because of their contact with the mode, transcendental mode of goodness, different like uncontrolled, intermittent ecstasies for each and every one of these categories, subcategories, etc. And also a different foundational mood for each and every one of these different categories or subcategories. I hope I made that clear. In other words, that's all you got to remember. And then you'll understand everything basic, the basic everything. The details are the details. Okay, so the next question, let's see if we're going to have time to deal with this. I think we should probably start this tomorrow. But the next question is about the next loving relationship, which is called Preya Bhakti Ras. Preya Bhakti Ras, actually. Or Sakya Ras, which is friendship relationship. So the friendship is different. There's different types of friends which we're going to hear about. And another point is that most of this is in the Nectar Devotion, and if it's not, it's in the Ujjvala Nilamani. Both of these books are written by Srila Rupa Goswami, so we are definitely Rupanugas. So, next question is Brajanath Prabhu, I've understood Priti Ras, now speak about Preya Bhakti Ras or Sakya Ras, the friendship relationship. So, I think it's appropriate that we break at this particular point. And, in addition to breaking, we allow you to ask questions a little earlier today, 1 minute earlier today than normal. So, please don't ask questions about complicated stuff. Because, I have to admit, I don't remember all the terminology, Technology I remember, but terminology, no. So, you have a different translation of this book that gives the translation of each Sanskrit words, if you want. Yes, please. You can tell me about it, not now. You can give it to me later. So I think it would be better to have that. Yeah, I'm not going to go back over this particular chapter, but yeah, that would be good because the Sanskrit terminology, I'm not familiar with each and every word, and I'm not going to look up each and every word as we're talking in the Sanskrit dictionary, which I have on the computer. So, that is a very nice offer. Thank you, Davy. So, it's one of the demigoddesses who wrote me from Swarga. So anyway, just joking. So, who has a question about anything we read today or talked about today? Raise your hand, type in the text window. You can unmute yourself if you like. If not, we can always end early. Going once. I know, though the terminology was hard. So Gopal Das, you have a question. What's the question?
Accept my obeisance, Shri Gurudev. Not exactly a question, but just remembering from Nectar of Devotion, this Jaiva Dharma is definitely much more detailed. It goes into,
Yeah.
a lot more of the subsections and subheadings of many of the things that were overviewed in the Nectar of Devotion. And although I barely understand a word of it, it's actually really, really nice.
Yeah, of course it's very nice. I don't doubt that. Actually, in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu gets into it. The Nectar Devotion is a summary study of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu.
But I
So
find it very encouraging.
yeah, it is actually described pretty elaborately. It's not that Bhaktivinoda Thakur is actually inventing something. He's actually going from Rupa Goswami's analysis of the rasas.
And it makes, because it gives such vivid and specific examples, it makes it much more relatable to our own psychology and relationships, for me anyway.
Oh yeah, yeah, because we have these similar type reflections of these types of relationships in this world. We
Yeah.
have people who are, well, I have 4 servants, and these are my 2 arms and 2 legs. So
Yeah.
I can understand the servitude relationship pretty well. All right.
Thank you so much, Gurudev. Thank you for
Okay.
reading.
Okay. Yeah, it encourages us to understand that Krishna consciousness is a science. It's not simply something so sentimental. It's a science. We can analyze these different types of relationships. But ultimately, when you go back to the spiritual world, I hate to tell you, you're not going to be analyzing these different types of relationships. Okay, here's a question. This is interesting. And one nice devotee from Goloka Vrindavan wrote me a letter. Hare Krishna Gurudev, please explain could you explain, understand that Krishna in Dwarka doesn't wear a peacock fan. But we see Lord Jagannath is decorated with a peacock feather. How do we understand this? Well, we worship Lord Jagannath in the mood in which he was in Jagannath, not in Jagannath, in Jagannath Puri, of course, in which he was at Kurukshetra. In Kurukshetra, he was seen by the gopis as Krishna in Vrindavan, and he is Krishna in Vrindavan. So in Dwarka, he doesn't wear a peacock feather, but the Lord Jagannath that we worship, or the manifestation of the Lord as Lord Jagannath that we worship, is Krishna in Kurukshetra, where he's meeting the residents of Vrindavan, and he and the residents of Vrindavan are both feeling separation from each other. So Krishna actually gets in the same mood that he was in Vrindavan. So that's the answer. Cool answer. So, anybody else have a question about these complicated subject matters? Tomorrow we'll actually get a book, hopefully, from some soul and we'll start reading from that translation that has all the translations of the Sanskrit terms. I'm not sure who did the translation. We'll have to figure that out. The present translation we're reading has been done by bkgoswami. So we'll do that starting tomorrow or the next day if I'm not able to get online because of my traveling tomorrow. So any other questions or comments? No?
Sarva Bhavana.
What?
Sarva
Oh,
Bhavana.
Sarva Bhavana. Okay, Sarva Bhavana. That's good. He's a good devotee.
I like his translation.
I've known him for years. That's very good. Okay, so Sarva Bhavana, he's a very, very good devotee. His translation may not be as accurate, I know that, as Bhanu Swami's translation. But it's more or less on the line, and so we'll use his translation after this particular section. We're not going to go back over the same section, but we'll use his translation because it's going to be very helpful to know the Sanskrit terminology when we read about these different aspects of the relationships. So, any other questions or comments? If there's no questions or comments, maybe we'll end a little early today. And we see you all tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. Okay, on that happy note, all glories to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti.